Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We, as usual, take your calls and answer your question with the grace of Allah, with the support of Allah, to those questions that we have answers for. And those that we do not know, we usually ask you to send us an email. We will do our necessary research for these questions and then send it back to you, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal. And until we get some of your phone calls, and the numbers, you will see them displayed in front of you under the screen, insha'Allah, we have few emails that, insha'Allah, we would like to go and discuss these questions as they came. The first question is it permissible to make dua in your mother tongue while you are in prostration if you do not know the Arabic language? It's an issue of dispute among scholars, but the most authentic opinion is that you are allowed to make dua in your own native language, providing you do not know how to do this in Arabic. And this is after you have offered the necessary and mandatory dhikr. So in your prostration, it is mandatory for you, it is wajib to say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. And if you add to that, then this is okay. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdih. And the other forms of supplications as well. Now, if you do this, saying it in Arabic, which is a must, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, after that, if you want to ask Allah for something, but you do not know how to ask it in Arabic, then in this case, you may ask it in your native language. But if you know how to ask it in Arabic, it's a must. So for example, if you want to ask Allah for forgiveness, and you say, Allahumma ghfirli, and you know Allahumma ghfirli, you cannot say, oh Allah, forgive me, because you know it in Arabic. But if you want to ask Allah Azza wa Jal to guide your son to the straight path, or to award your wife hidayah, or to pay off your debts, and you can't say this in Arabic because you simply don't know Arabic, in this case it becomes permissible, insha'Allah. The second question, it says, my uncle passed away recently, and I wanted to know if this is from the Quran and Sunnah, where his wife must not come outside for 4 months and 10 days without legitimate reason. The answer to that is, yes, this is part of what Allah instructed us in the Quran, where He told us, Azza wa Jal, that women who their husbands pass away, they must stay the period of iddah, providing they're not pregnant, of course. So if they're not pregnant, their iddah, their waiting period, is 4 months and 10 days. And they are supposed to stay in their houses. They're not allowed to go out of the house unless there is a necessity, such as going to the court to finish some paperwork regarding inheritance, going to work if she is a teacher, for example, and they don't give her time out. They don't give her leave for the calamity that struck her. In this case, she can go to work, but she has to go back. She must not go to a coffee shop on her way back and enjoy herself. No, she has to go back as soon as what's necessary is over, that is work. She's allowed to go to hospital to get medical treatment, anything that is necessary and has to be done, she can do it. But to go to visit someone who's ill, to go to offer umrah, to go for hajj, this is not permissible. To go and to give condolences to someone who had passed as well away, this is not permissible. She has to be refrained. She has to stay in her house. She must not put any makeup, any perfume, beautifying herself. She must not wear fancy clothes or clothes that would usually be worn to tempt men to look at her. This is not permissible as well. She should not wear any perfume. She can bathe, she can use soap, shampoos, etc., because these are normal things, but she must not wear cologne in her house. And there are a number of different issues regarding to the topic of iddah as well. We have Suraida from Saudi. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Sheikh. Thank you so much for the great job.
Jazakallah khair.
Sheikh, I have two questions.
Okay.
First is that we are going for Umrah, I and my husband, tomorrow.
Inshallah.
And I would like to know, is it mandatory for him to shave off his hair after the Safa Marwa?
Okay.
And the other question is, could you please give us an outline of Umrah, just a brief one, a guideline?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Exactly. Regarding the first question, that is it mandatory for a man after concluding his Umrah to shave off his head? And the answer is, no, it's not mandatory. He has the option either to shave it, and this is the best. Because the Prophet ﷺ prayed to Allah 3 times to have mercy on those who shave their heads. And every time the companion said, and what about those who cut short their hair? And he would say, may Allah have mercy on those who shave their heads. What about those who cut short their hair? May Allah have mercy on those who shave their heads. And in the 4th time he said, may Allah have mercy on those who cut short their hair. So it's a lower level, though it's accepted. It's part of the sunnah, but it is lesser in reward. So if he offers his umrah after concluding the sa'i between Safa and Marwa, he must cut short from his entire head. Not only as people do from one side, this is wrong. It should be from the entire hair, cutting short from all of the hair as much as possible. The length is irrelevant, but it has to be generalized. As for the description of Umrah, it may take a while, but it is simply making ihram. This is one of the pillars of Umrah. And making tawaf, and making sa'i, and then shortening your hair or shaving it for men, in general. Now, if you want to go to details, it is preferable and recommended for you to have a ghusl. Okay, we have Sister Noha from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. Please, Sister Noha, turn down the volume of your TV set and listen to me from the phone. Well, I think Sister Noha is not with us anymore. So after you offer your total bath, which is voluntary, meaning that if you don't do it, your Umrah is still accepted, your Ihram is still accepted. After that, after you have washed, you wear your Ihram. And if it is a time of prayer, such as Asr, Dhuhr, Maghrib, or if you did not pray the Sunnah of Dhuhr afterwards, then it is recommended that you make your intention of Ihram after you pray these 2 rak'ahs. But if you don't have any prayer to pray, then there isn't any specific prayer for Ihram. So don't pray anything. Just make your Ihram by saying, Labbaik Allahumma Umrah. Verbally saying it is not an intention. I'm saying it now, Labbaik Allahumma Umrah. Does this mean I'm in the state of ihram? Definitely not. Because this is talbiyah. The intention is in the heart. So the minute I'm out wearing my ihram, and I have the firm intention that I am in the state of ihram. So if someone says, put some perfume, and I said, no, I've already made my intention. I am in the state of ihram. If someone says, what about clipping your nails? I said, I can't. This is the intention. Once you enter this intention, the state of ihram, you cannot leave it until you finish your ritual, until you finish your umrah or your hajj. Some people say, can we make a condition saying that فَإِنْ حَبَسَنِي حَابِسْ فَمَحِلِّي حَيْثُ حَبَسْتَنِي. So Allah, if I was prevented from offering my ihram, from completing my umrah, then I have the right to take it off and go back to my previous state. Is this permissible? Yes, this is permissible, providing that you have something to fear. For example, if you are ill, if you're sick, if you have an injury, knee injury for example, and you have a very strong feeling that if you start tawaf, it may come up again. It may agonize you, and it may hurt you. Your car might not be 100% in a good condition, so you know that it might break down on the way. So you go and you make the intention. You say, لبيك اللهم عمرة وإن حبسني حابس. If something was to prevent me from completing my umrah, then I can take off my ihram and wear my normal clothes. But if you don't have anything to fear, it is not permissible for you. If you're healthy, your car is good, you have nothing to fear, and you still make this condition, this is invalid and this is not permissible. Brother Muhammad from Saudi, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Jazakallah khair. What can I do for you?
Wonderful job there.
Allah yajzik al khair.
So I have two questions.
Yes, brother.
Is there any problem if the water of ablution goes to the bathroom or the closet?
Okay.
Then second question is that, is it proven from the Sunnah that if we keep the Quran open for a long time without reading it, does the Satan urinate it? Some people say that like this.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. Okay, Jazakallah khair, brother. Regarding Brother Muhammad, he's asking about the water of ablution. And it's a misconception among a lot of the Muslims, not in normal ablution water, because there's nothing wrong in that. If you perform ablution and the water goes down the sink, down the drains, it's okay. It's a wasted water, so there's nothing wrong in it. A lot of the Muslims ask about a similar question, and they say, is it possible to make wudu or ghusl with Zamzam water? And the answer is yes. They say, Sheikh, Zamzam water will go down the drains. I said, with the sewer. Okay, there's no problem in that. And even more, is it permissible to bring Zamzam water and recite the Quran for medication or for ruqyah, and then wash ourselves with it in the toilet? The answer is yes. There's nothing wrong in that. You are not humiliating the Quran. The Quran is the book we have. But once you've recited it on Zamzam water and it goes down the drain, there is nothing wrong in that, inshallah. The second question, he says that some of the people may leave the Quran open for a while. And some folks would come up and say, close it, because if you keep it open for too long, Satan may come and read it. Is this logical? Would he read it for the sake of Allah and then maybe pray 2 rak'ahs and ask for forgiveness? He is doomed in hell. He is not going to ask Allah for forgiveness until the day of judgment. He is adamant. He will not repent. So, do you think he needs you to open the Quran for you so that he could read it? He is part of the jinn. He can do whatever he is capable of doing by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, penetrating walls, going through doors, knowing things that normal people don't know. So this is a misconception. It has nothing to do with the jinn or with the Satans reading it. If the jinn are able to read it and they may be guided, so be it. Let them read it. Maybe Allah would guide them and you would be the cause of that. But Satan coming and reciting it, this is preposterous and it is baseless. It has no authenticity to it. After you make your intention for Umrah, you go to Mecca. And the first thing you do once you reach Mecca, okay, Sister Falusiya, I think, from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Oh, then this is a brother. Jazakallah khair. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing?
I am fine, Jazakallah khair. I'd appreciate it if you speak a little bit louder.
Okay. Please, I want to ask a question about Jalsat al-Isra.
About?
Jalsat al-Isra.
I could not understand this.
I mean, I want to ask about Jalsat al-Isra.
Jalsatu.
It was narrated the Prophet had done it during his salat.
Okay, Jalsatul Istiraha. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to find out, is it permissible and when do we observe it during salat?
Okay. I'll answer that, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. The brother is asking about what is known as Jalsatul Istiraha. It is a short pause where you sit down when you are standing up for the second or the fourth rak'ah. So if I pray one rak'ah, complete rak'ah, I offer two prostration. Before standing up to the second rak'ah, I sit down in a very short pause, and then I stand up for my second rak'ah, and likewise when I am standing up for the fourth rak'ah. So he's asking, what is the ruling on it? Scholars have different opinion, but as usual, when we have different opinions of scholars, we go back to square one. We go back to the Quran and to the Sunnah. Because when scholars differ, this is not an excuse for me to go and pick whatever suits me best. I'm not entering a supermarket and taking off from the shelf whatever I wish. I am choosing a proper fatwa. So, whenever they differ, and they differ a lot, we are instructed, we are mandated to go to the Quran and to the Sunnah to cross-examine evidences so that we can know which one is correct. So what is the ruling on Jalsat al-Istiraha? Inshallah, this is what we will discuss after the break, so stay tuned.
As everyone knows, today Arabic is considered as very important, very significant language. How can we produce the sound, the state of voicing, place of articulation, the manner of articulation? So in Arabic, the words which are written are pronounced.
We will learn how to write and pronounce Arabic letters correctly in depth. Explanation via board and presentation with many other important factors.
And we have today more than 300 million people speak Arabic language. Not only in the Middle East, but you can find a lot of people speak Arabic language in Asia, Europe, North America, and in South America.
What are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and pencil and stay tuned for Learn Arabic at Huda TV.
Please, brothers and sisters, in particular brothers, husbands, divorce is the last resort.
Even when I was given the topic, the art of divorce, I was thinking, why are we talking about a divorce?
As they say in management, do you take serious decisions when you are angry? No one is taking a very serious decision in his life, maybe in his business, while you are angry.
A divorce happening every 6 minutes.
We are not talking about enjoying the divorce, but we are talking about certain steps to be followed in order to avoid divorce or minimize the possibility of divorce or minimize the consequences of divorce. Any divorce taking place have many ill effects. So we would like to minimize those ill effects.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. Before we answer the brother's question from Nigeria, I believe that we have Sister Siba or Saba from Canada. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh, how are you?
I'm fine, Sister. Jazakallah khair. What can I do for you? Well, I believe that the sister's call was interrupted. I hope, inshallah, that she'll be able to call us back again. The brother asking about Jalsat al-Istiraha, this short pause, is it part of the Sunnah? Well, if you go back to Sahih al-Bukhari, in the book, in the chapter dealing with Salat, you'll find that there is a companion of the Prophet ﷺ's name, Malik ibn al-Huwayrith, if I remember correctly. And he came once to the companions and said, I'll pray to you the prayer of the Prophet ﷺ. And he prayed these 4 rak'ahs. And the person narrating the hadith said that every time he stood up for the second rak'ah or the 4th rak'ah, he used to sit for a short pause and then stand up again. So this is a companion, and he offered this prayer in front of other companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and none of them stood up and said, hey, this is wrong. I've seen the Prophet and he did not pray like this, ﷺ. None of them did this. And the hadith is graded as the highest level of authenticity. It's in Sahih al-Bukhari. And this is why Imam al-Shafi'i, may Allah have mercy on his soul, say that this is part of the Sunnah. And that is why it's part of his school of thought. And a number of scholars say that this is part of the Sunnah, such as Sheikh Nasruddin al-Albani and other great scholars of Islam. So if you do it, alhamdulillah. If you don't do it, it remains a Sunnah. Your prayer is valid and there is nothing wrong with that, inshallah. I believe that the sister is back with us again. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, Sheikh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. I have question number 1 is I heard Sheikh Salim Amri saying in one of his lectures that basically what you should do is when you're leaving your house in the morning, you should pray 2 rakats so that the whole day you're protected from evil and everything. Now my question is, my husband leaves at 6 o'clock in the morning for his work, and the Fajr is at 4:30, so he prays like around 5 in the morning, and the sun has not risen yet. So should he pray these 2 rakats before the Salah, or should he pray this, how should he go about doing it? That's my first question.
Okay, before you go to the second question, now, someone told you that these 2 rak'ahs, if you pray them in the day, Allah will protect you from all evil acts, right?
Yes, we especially pray that Allah please protect me from all the evils and the bad things or bad people, situation, everything.
Okay, your second question, please.
Okay, my second question is, mashallah, my children are, alhamdulillah, following the hijab, doing their salah, but they do not have the passion for deen, which I feel that I have, but they are not that enthusiastic. And you know, that leads like a domino effect, is because I get angry at them for not, doing exactly. They're just following it as a routine. And I want them to be passionate about it. What should I do, Sheikh? Please guide me there.
Okay.
Because I get very angry and then, it loses the purpose because now I am angry.
For doing things that are not related to Islam or for not following the Sunnah?
No, they are following, mashallah, the Sunnah and the Hadith. But the problem is they are more passionate about the worldly things like, watching TV, cartoons and stuff like that. But I tell them that they watch a little bit and, but they are not as enthusiastic as watching Islamic cartoons, which I have recorded for them, or Islamic movies, or learning Arabic. They are not very much passionate as I want them to be.
How old are they?
My elder daughter is 11 years old and my younger daughter is 8 years old.
Okay, I'll answer this inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah, Assalamu alaikum, hayyakallah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa hayyakillah. Regarding the first question, and that is, there are 2 rak'ahs that if a person prays, Allah would protect him from all evil. There isn't anything as such. What we know, that there are 2 rak'ahs that are known as duha prayer. And duha prayer, whoever prays this, Allah Azza wa Jal would exempt him and would consider for him that he had done the mandatory sadaqah that he should pay for every bone in or joint in his body. In the hadith, the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, every single day that you wake up, there is 360 joints in your body that require sadaqah. And the Prophet mentioned a number of sadaqahs, of charities that you should do in order to get this obligatory things paid off or out away from your back. At the end, the Prophet said, alayhi salam, and if you pray 2 rak'ahs of duha, this does the job. So these 2 rak'ahs are known as the rak'ah, the prayer of al-awwabin, those who go to Allah Azza wa Jal in repentance and go back to Allah Azza wa Jal. They are very good rak'ahs and they are very highly recommended, and we should do this. The Prophet ﷺ did it as narrated in the hadith of Hani, may Allah be pleased with her, in Fath Makkah, though there is an issue of dispute among scholars whether this is Salatul Fathi, the conquest prayer, or the Duha prayer. Either way, it is recommended by the Prophet ﷺ. As for the second question, she is asking about her children, 11 and 8 girls. They are, mashallah, abiding by the hijab. They're doing what they must do. They recite the Quran. They do their learning. But they keep it to the basic. And they want to indulge themselves in worldly matters, in listening to maybe music, watching TV, instead of learning Arabic and doing this. And she's frustrated and she's always angry with them. Well, this is a very critical phase of their lives. You have to be very careful. Children at this age, they are changing lanes, as they say. So they're young. They're restless. They don't know what's good for them. If it were for them, they would eat junk food 24/7. Even if it kills them, they couldn't care. It tastes good. It looks nice. The advertisement is overwhelming and it is so attractive. They don't know what's good for them. Therefore, you, being the doctor, being the one who is bringing them up, inshallah, on an Islamic way, you should be more tolerant. You're at the moment like a dentist. When a patient comes and he opens his mouth and you try to touch the tooth and he screams, instead of being tolerant, you punch him in the nose for screaming. Nobody would come to you. Nobody would accept you. Now, your children have so many people outside anticipating and waiting for the right moment to jump and take over. Not physically, but mentally. To try and make them come to them. So you will lose because there's so many of them and you're only on your own. That is why there has to be some form of tolerance. Not in haram, but you have to tolerate things. You have to give them a lot of love. And you have to try as much as possible to reduce your anger, to reduce your critique. Not every time they do something, why did you do this? You should have done this. No, always give them positive talk, encourage them. You be the role model for them, and inshallah, things would progress in a positive way. And always remember, love brings remarkable results. Sister, I think Sumaya from Saudi. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
This is Zubair.
Zubair. Okay, I apologize.
Yes. Yeah, there are 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one is with regards to the duties of a doctor.
Can you please turn down the volume of your TV set?
Yeah, I don't have. It's off, Sheikh.
Okay, like someone else is talking at the same time. Yes. First question.
So, what are the duties of a daughter-in-law towards her in-laws? Are they equal to what her parents' rights on her? Are they the same? Her in-laws and her parents. Okay.
Okay.
And is the mother-in-law allowed to command her to do work and?
Okay. Second question.
Okay, and the second one is with regards to moving the finger in salah during tashahhud.
Come again?
During tashahhud in salah.
Yes.
Yeah, about moving the finger.
Okay.
Yeah, is it do we move the finger towards till the end, till taslim?
Okay.
Or is it just when we say the kalima?
Okay, I'll answer that inshallah.
Okay,
Okay. Regarding Zubair's questions, the first one, what are the duties of the woman towards her father-in-law and mother-in-law? And we often get this question from the sisters, especially from the subcontinent, from Pakistan, from India, from Bangladesh, and all the adjacent countries, or those even who had migrated to Europe or the States or Canada, but still have the culture within. So they often ask about the ruling because it's kind of the customs there that once I get married, my wife becomes the servant of the house. She takes care of the house that is usually inhabited by my parents, sometimes by my brothers, and anyone in the family with me. So what is the ruling on the woman serving her in-laws? Is it mandatory? And the answer is no. And no one can force you to serve them. No one can make you do things that are not mandated by Islam. Isn't this sheikh obeying my husband in what is known to be bil-ma'ruf, in something that is considered to be something that is beneficial and good? It is beneficial, it is good, but it is not mandatory. I was not married to become a servant in your house. Now, if you're kind to me as a husband and you give me sweet talk and you compensate me, she might do this. But to force her and to threaten her that you divorce her if she doesn't do this, no, this is not your right. A wife's right is so great to the extent that you in Islam are forced to give her a separate house of her own. Not necessarily a villa, but a place where she can stay without any interference, a room of privacy, a bedroom with a bathroom, and a kitchen, a separate kitchen for her. This can be part of the house, it's okay, but this is her quarters. You don't have the right to force her to live with her in-laws, to see your sisters every morning and the evening, and they coming into her room, taking some of her jewelry, saying bad things, giving remarks that she may not tolerate. So this is her right. Now, if she does this because she's a good person and she loves you, then you should be appreciative of that. The second question is regarding moving the finger when in the tashahhud position. As we know, the sunnah is that you circle the middle finger and your thumb, and you join the other two fingers like this, and you point your finger and you move it in its place, not upwards and downwards. You move it, shake it in its place. This is the sunnah that the Prophet used to do, alayhi salatu wasalam. And this starts from the minute you sit down until you finish your salam. It moves on, it keeps on pointing and shaking until you offer the second salam. I believe we have Sister Sumaya, or Asia from Saudi Arabia. Well, we had Sister Asia. Okay, I believe we have a second break, so stay tuned and inshallah we will be right back.
The main concepts of Islamic economics, how is it different from the Western theories?
And the beauty about Islam is not that it just came as a religion to perfect the relationship of the servant of Allah with Allah, but also it came to perfect the relationship of the servant of Allah with others. The beauty about Islam comes and brings the interest of the public and the interest of the individual together.
How is Islamic banking different from the traditional banking system?
The concept of riba is that I lend you money, I give you a loan, in return that you give me back that loan with an extra at the top.
The idea of the stock market itself is halal or haram.
So these are the main conditions that the scholars put with regards of the share market.
Let's talk.
So this is something that you have to point out to them in the Bible.
Something which is, I think, very rarely needed by the youth, which is staying firm on the truth.
This is just one of the greatest examples for me of how to control your anger.
Within the framework of being the cleanest religion, the cleanest jurisprudence, and in the meantime, the kindest religion to animals.
Watch Let's Talk with Khalil Amanet as he interviews guests and discusses a variety of topics, everything from youth issues to religious issues. Join us here on Huda TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. I think we have Sister Asia on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We stay in Jeddah, and so when we perform Umrah, when shall we make Niyyah? We have to make at home before leaving the house, or we can make halfway to Makkah in a car. Which is the right way to do?
Okay.
Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah. Are you talking about people in Jeddah? You're from Jeddah, right?
Yes, I am from Jeddah.
Okay, I'll answer this inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah.
Jazaki. Sister Asia is asking about the time, the proper time and location where we should make Umrah. That is, let me rephrase that, where we should make Ihram. Now, we know that the Prophet ﷺ has designated the miqat area for every region. So he made Dhul Hulayfa for people coming from Medina. He made Al Juhfa, which is Rabigh nowadays, those coming from the north and the west to Saudi or to Mecca. He made Yalamlam for those coming from the south, etc. And then those who are inside the ring, those who are inside the area of Mawaqit, they are requested to make their intention of Ihram from their location. So for those who are like us in Jeddah, we are within the boundaries of the Mawaqit. So whenever we would like to make Umrah, we make our intention from Jeddah itself. This means that I can make it from my home, I can get into my car and drive as long as I am within the borders of Jeddah. To us, once you go out of, for example, the gas station Al-Ruhaili or past King Khalid, I think, hospital, which is Al-Haras Al-Watan National Guard, then you're outside of the borders of Jeddah. So you have to make it way before. So as long as you make it while you are in Jeddah, you are, inshallah, on the right track. Regarding one of the sisters' questions about Umrah, we've reached, I think, the position of reaching Mecca. What do we do when we reach Mecca? You start your tawaf. Is it mandatory? Can I go to the hotel, for example, check in, put my luggage, maybe rest for an hour or two? The answer is yes. As long as you are in the state of Ihram, you can do that. You can even sleep at night, providing you are still in the state of Ihram and you're not allowed to put perfume, you're not allowed to clip your nails, cut your hair, have any intimacy with your spouse, etc. Once you go, you start to make tawaf just at the Hajar al-Aswad, the black stone. And you go 7 rounds. Every time you say, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, or Allahu Akbar. And when you come to the Yemeni corner, which is the corner that precedes Al-Hajar al-Aswad, the sunnah for you is to say between that and the Hajar al-Aswad, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Okay, what about the rest? What should I say? We don't have anything for you to say that is prescribed. You can say whatever you wish. You can recite the Quran. You can hold the Quran and recite from it, but this wouldn't be quite advisable because you're going to bump into people all the time. You can recite the Quran from your memory. You can make dhikr. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allah Akbar, La ilaha illa, Astaghfirullah, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. You can supplicate. Oh Allah, guide my children. Oh Allah, make me healthy. Oh Allah, my father is sick, make him better. Oh Allah, pay my debts. All the time. And whenever you come to the Yemeni corner, the sunnah is for you to wipe over it. Is it permissible for me to kiss? No, you're not. So if I can't reach it, then just go on. And when you come to the black stone, the sunnah for you is to kiss it. This is the sunnah. And why do I kiss it? Well, because the Prophet did it, alayhi salatu wasalam. Any reason for that? Well, we don't have any justification. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, addressed the black stone, and he was actually addressing his companions. And he said to them that, addressing the black stone, by Allah, I know that you do not bring me any benefit and you cannot protect me for any harm. And had I not seen the Prophet ﷺ kiss you, I would not have kissed you. We have Sister Dalal from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Oh, it's a brother. I am having problems with gender.
Please, my question is that I want to ask a question about the person that is not a Muslim, Hajj or Umrah.
About what, brother?
I said I want to ask a question. What are the rules of the person that is not a Muslim to pay a Hajj or Umrah to the Muslim person to go and do a Hajj?
Paying, meaning money. A non-Muslim giving money to a Muslim to offer Umrah and Hajj.
Yes, not Muslim to pay money to the Muslim to go to Hajj.
And who is paying the money?
The person that is not a Muslim.
Okay. The brother is, if I'm understanding his question correctly, he's asking what is the ruling on a non-Muslim, whether it's an individual or an organization, giving the money to Muslims so that they can perform Umrah or Hajj. Is this is this acceptable? Is this permissible? And I believe that the misunderstanding or the confusion comes from that we know when you go to Umrah or Hajj, the source of your income for that journey must be halal. So if there is an organization in my country who are not Muslims, but they're giving financial aid, financial help to those who request it. So, or I have a neighbor who is rich, and he says, listen, take this 5,000 euros and go for Umrah. I know it's good in your religion, and I'd like to do you a favor. So is it permissible for me to take it? The answer is yes. Even if this is a non-Muslim who's giving it or donating it, because this is a gift. And whenever the income of a person is haram, it's haram on him. Once he gives money to someone, it becomes halal for the recipient. For example, Barira, may Allah be pleased with her, was a slave. And then she was set free. Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, helped her to buy herself off. And she became free. And once the Prophet ﷺ came to the house of Aisha, and he found food. So he said, Aisha, bring me the food. And she said, O Prophet of Allah, this is a charity that was given to Barira. Somebody gave sadaqah. Someone gave Barira sadaqah, and she brought the food and gave it to me. And I know that you, as a Prophet of Allah, you must not eat from sadaqah. He said, the Prophet ﷺ, this is true. It was a sadaqah to Barira, but once she transformed it into a gift to us, it becomes permissible. So the source of income mostly does not affect it when it is transformed into a gift. So it's haram for the person who earned it in the very beginning, but once he gives it to you for Umrah or Hajj, it becomes halal to you, insha'Allah. We have an email here. It says that we live in the West, and so we don't hear the adhan from the mosque. We have an automated adhan clock in our house. And I wanted to know, is it permissible for us to respond to that and listen to it as it were the real adhan from the masjid? The answer is no. So many times people make the mistake and think that whenever I hear an adhan, I have to say exactly as he says, and then say the dua that we all know. But this is not actual, because this person who is offering the adhan is not there. He's not real. This is something that was recorded. Therefore, this is not a proper adhan, and you may not say behind him, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, etc. You have to say this only when you're hearing it from radio and it's live. So this is a person live doing the adhan. Or when you hear it from a masjid, from a mosque, where the muadhin is doing it, of course, at the present time. The other issue is that a lot of the Muslims in the West depend and rely on these alarm clocks to notify them of the time of prayer. So is this permissible? The answer is, it depends. If you think that it is accurate, and you've made your research and people told you, yes, this alarm clock is giving adhan on the right time, it is permissible for you to follow it. Give it a buffer zone. It's just to be on the safe side. Otherwise, no, you are requested to look and try to observe it. Other than that, you do not pray unless you are certain that the time is due. So many people pray 15 minutes before time. This is not permissible. Their prayer is not accepted, and Allah Azza wa Jal would not accept it for them. They have to pray on time to be on the correct thing of doing it. Because Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. Verily that prayer was mandated on particular timings upon the believers. So you cannot pray 1 minute before the salah. And this is a crucial point when people depend entirely and blindly on these alarm clocks, not trying to know exactly whether it is the time for prayer or not. I believe that this is all the time we have. So until we meet next time, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. بريك ولا خلصوا؟ اي نرفع بريكات؟ طيب تبغون نرجع ثاني؟ طيب انا ختمت حسيتهم خلصوا.
تعالى choose whom he wills سبحانه وتعالى for his
انا ختمت قلت لهم قال لي لا بريك ارجع ثاني.
For the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision.
أنا أتوقع إنه خلاص كده كفاية يا جماعة. أي خلاص كفاية ما يصير نقول لهم.
Asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet ﷺ was sent to all mankind. So the ummah, or the people of the Prophet ﷺ, are all mankind since the time of the Prophet ﷺ till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Of Noah.
We're going to be mentioning the significance of the Ark of Noah.
Knowledge is the essence of everything. Once you get the knowledge, then it generates the desire and the motivation, and then it brings about the action.
And we're going to be discussing the state of the Ummah and the division which unfortunately has appeared in it, and the methodology of trying to arrive at the right path.
Your system of knowledge or your system of motivation are hit by any of these threats, you will definitely go astray and you will be suffering from a disease in the heart.
We're also going to be discussing what Allah wants from us.
How can we make that? Allah gave us the revelation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing first and foremost the companions. If they believe in what you have believed in, then they are guided. So the real guidance is what the Prophet ﷺ and the companions were upon.
Join Sheikh Mutassim in the program Ark of Noah and discover the answers to these questions.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It appears that I've made a mistake among so many. It was a break and it did not conclude the program. So I'm fortunate to be with you 10 more minutes, inshallah. We have an email from a brother, Muhammad Awali, or Awil. He says, if a Muslim backbites or slanders or even violates another Muslim or a non-Muslim rights, then he asks that particular person for forgiveness, but knows that if he does this, this would make the situation even worse. What is the solution for this problem according to the Quran and to the Sunnah? We know that if you make some form of abuse, whether it's verbal or physical, if you slander someone, if you backbite someone, if you say bad things about someone, and if you even hit someone, if you attack someone, Allah the Almighty would punish you on the Day of Judgment. Allah would judge you and He will hold you accountable for this. And He would take the sins from these people to be put on you. But before that, He would give them from your good deeds. So if you punch this person, Allah would give him from your good deeds. If you bit someone, good deeds, good deeds, good deeds. And if your good deeds ran out, then Allah would take from their sins and He would put it on you, and then He would throw you in hell. So what can we do towards this issue? How can we make it up? The Prophet says, ﷺ, you have to ask this person for forgiveness before the Day of Judgment, because there is no euros or dollars or dirham or dinar. There are only the good deeds and the sins. So you have to. Okay, what is the solution if I know that if I go and ask him for forgiveness and I seek his pardon, things would become even worse? He did not know of these things. So I go and tell him, it's going to make it even worse. And in this case, scholars say that you have to pray for him. You have to ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive him. You have to mention the good things in him, the true good things in him, wherever you slandered him before or said something bad about him. We have a caller from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. We had a caller from Nigeria. We move on to another question. And this question, it says, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. During wudu, I find it to be difficult to use a scoop of water for rinsing the mouth and the two nostrils each time. So is it allowed to inhale and sniff after the rinsing of the mouth? The brother or the sister, he's referring to a sunnah that a lot of the Muslims do not apply. And that is when making wudu. The sunnah is, first of all, to wash your hands. And this is not part of the wudu, but it is part of the sunnah before entering your hand in a pot of water. Then you rinse your mouth. You make madmada. And you sniff water up your nostrils with the same scoop of water. So if I bring a handful of water, I take half of it in my mouth and the other half I sniff it up my nostrils and then take the water and clean my nose with it. A lot of the Muslims don't do this. They have, I think we have a caller from Nigeria. I'll attend his call, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, brother, what is your question?
Wa alaikum salam. My question is,
can you turn off your volume, please, because I cannot hear you properly.
Okay, what my question is,
can you what?
Do you have me?
I didn't understand you.
What I'm saying, if I want to travel.
If you want to travel?
distance from sorry.
You're asking about the distance of traveling for shortening prayer?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll answer this question, inshallah. So the sunnah is to have one scoop, and with this one scoop, you rinse your mouth, you put more water into your mouth and spit it out, and at the same time, you do this at one go. This is the sunnah. A lot of the Muslims have separate 3 scoops for their mouth and another for their nose. And this is not part of the sunnah. But is it permissible to do this? The answer is yes. The answer is yes, because you have to rinse your mouth. You have to also rinse your nose by doing what was mentioned before. The brother from Nigeria is asking about, if I understand his question correctly, about the distance of traveling. What is the proper distance that I afterwards be considered to be traveling, and I can shorten my prayers and combine them if necessary? There isn't any specified distance. So we hear some people saying 80 kilometers, some say 85, some say 90 kilometers. There isn't any such distance. Whatever the people in your country, in your city, consider it to be traveling, then the minute you get out of the border of your city, then you are considered to be traveler. So in this scenario, I live in Jeddah, and about 85, a little bit less, a little more, kilometers from where I live is Mecca. May Allah honor it. So when I travel from Jeddah to Mecca, do I shorten my prayers? The answer is no. Why is that? Isn't it a long distance? It's an hour plus drive? The answer is because when you ask people of Jeddah, do you consider going to Mecca traveling? And you ask people of Mecca, do you consider going to Jeddah to be traveling? They say, no. We commute daily to go to schools, to universities, to work, and we sometimes go twice a day to attend a walima or whatever, or a wedding. So the people don't consider this to be traveling. Therefore, it is not considered to be traveling. But if you travel by plane, for example, from Jeddah to Yambo, which is about 300 kilometers away, and the flying distance is maybe 20 minutes, should I shorten prayer? The answer is yes. Sheikh, it's only 20 minutes flying. There's no hardship, regardless. In Islam, as long as the people, when they call you home, can I speak to the Sheikh? And they say, well, he went to Yambo. He traveled to Yambo. They consider this to be a traveling distance. They consider this to be somewhere they're traveling to. In this case, you can shorten, and you can as well combine when necessary. So it is not the distance. It is what is considered to be the norm with the people. There are some cities, like Mumbai, for example. If you go from one end to the other, this may take 3 hours. Can I shorten prayer? Definitely not. You're not traveling. You're in the same city. And sometimes you leave your own city to a place that is a different city, and not a lot of the people consider it to be close together. So they consider themselves to be traveling. They don't go there for studying or for working. So when they go there, even if it's 80 kilometers, a little bit less, a little bit more, they consider themselves to be traveling. In this case, whenever you travel there, it should be, your prayer should be shortened. And once you need this, if you need this, then you can combine the prayers as well. I believe that this is all the time we have for tonight's program, and this is final, inshallah. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest.